Hey everyone, welcome back to 996 The Howl. Happy American Thanksgiving. Now, usually in years past, whenever I talk about the Tucson Roadrunners, it's because the Coyotes aren't doing too well, kind of down in the dumps, a bit too much despair. So I turn to the Roadrunners to lighten up the mood. But, the past two seasons for our Roadrunners haven't been too good. Last year for the Coyotes, it wasn't good either. But this year, the Coyotes are doing really well, exceeding expectations set by pretty much everyone. But also, the Roadrunners are doing pretty well themselves in the American Hockey League. They're 9-5-1 with a 633 win percentage, which is tied for second place in the Pacific Division. First place belongs to the Colorado Eagles. Now, I believe the Roadrunners are about one win away from tying. The Eagles are about like a 6-5 winning percentage. So, it's hard to tell, if the Roadrunners get one win, what happens to their win percentage. I believe it'll go up and match the Eagles. But it's set up differently than the NHL. NHL's pure points. AHL, they go by points percentage. They're tied with the Ontario Reign and the Calgary Wranglers, which is Calgary Flames' new American affiliate team. So that's pretty good news. They just won last night against the San Diego Gulls 2-0. But their special teams are pretty weak, 15%, 76% on the PK, compared to the Coyotes, which has a 25% power play, and the Coyotes' PK is 81.8%. Goals for, better than the Coyotes at 3.2. Coyotes' goals for is 2.67, so you want to see that goals for metric go up. For goals against, above 3 is always bad. They're at 3.2, whereas the Coyotes are at 3.39. So, as you can see, their goals for and goals against is the same. I think it's 48 goals each way. That's why the per game metrics are the same. Last 5 games, bit of a roller coaster here. I was watching it, not watching the games, but looking at the results each morning from the night before. Like I said, 2-0 win against San Diego, and then a 6-0 loss to San Jose. But then they faced San Jose the night before and had a 6-3 win. And then they had a back-to-back with the Henderson Silver Knights. One game was a 6-2 win, and the other was a 7-1 loss. So pretty crazy, the American Hockey League. Usually you face the same team twice in a row, maybe 3 in a row to limit travel. They also don't play a full 82-game schedule. It's more like 65 games. So it's pretty interesting how from one night to the next you could blow out a team and then get blown out yourselves. But the real meat and potatoes about this video and about the Roadrunners is the players and how they're developing, what's going on, what news is there. And when I was putting together this video, I didn't think it would be too interesting, but we got some interesting tidbits. You don't see Liam Kirk's name here. He has only played one game for the Roadrunners, was scratched for 11 straight games, and recently, like yesterday or 2 days ago, sent down to the East Coast Hockey League. So Liam Kirk, there's a lot of hype around him being, one of the first British-born hockey players making his way to North America. He had a massive knee injury last season, which took him out of the whole season for the Roadrunners. Came back in the offseason this year and was scratched, didn't perform well. Now he's on his last legs in the East Coast Hockey League. You hope better of that. That's very unfortunate to hear, and I was kind of shocked to see that. So, if you're a Liam Kirk fan, that's some pretty bad news, some tough news, but, we all got to look forward. I hope that Kirk performs well down there and gets another shot with the Roadrunners. Also, with the same team in the East Coast Hockey League, the Atlanta Gladiators, is David Tendek, who I thought the Roadrunners were going with a trio of goalies and Prosvetov, Gillies, and Tendek, but no, Tendek got sent down to the East Coast Hockey League. His third straight season there, I would have hoped he won the backup job for the Roadrunners, but, at that time they got Johansson, Gillies, and Gibson trying out for that position, and ultimately Gillies won it. So it's Gillies and Prosvetov in net. I know I'm skipping the forwards and defense, but that was my train of thought already. Prozitov's doing well. Maybe they should play him more often. 6-3-0, 917 save percentage, 2.72 goals against average. This is his best hockey he's ever played while in Tucson. Usually his save percentage is right below 900, but these are great numbers. Really excited to see these numbers. If he keeps it up, maybe it pushes Bill Armstrong to trade, Ingram at the trade deadline to a team that needs a good backup, get some assets and draft picks, and then they could call up Prozatov. That's a scenario that can happen. Not saying it will happen, but that's a scenario. If Prozatov keep these numbers up until the trade deadline, I could totally see the Coyotes trying out Prozatov for the backup position in the dying months of the season. John Gillies 3-2-1, but with terrible numbers. He's got an 860 save percentage, 3.84 goals against average. So it seems like keep Prozatov in net. I'm not sure why they give Gillies so many games. That's 6 games. I mean, if Prozitov's your starter and doing so well, maybe play him more often. But maybe they're doing a load management type thing. Most American Hockey League games are on a back-to-back to limit, like I said, limit travel, get done with a team and a city in one go. So maybe because of so many back-to-backs, they switch the goalies up each night, which would explain the yo-yoing of the scores here. So let's get to the forwards. A bit disappointing, but you got Carcone leading the team with 20 points in 15 games played. Now, I'm not excited about that because Carcone to me is not a prospect. He's 26 years old. He's an American Hockey League type player. Sure, he played a handful of games for the Coyotes last year when they had so many injuries, but you're not looking to him to be the next crop of Coyote players. Like I said, 26 years old. It's a bit too old already for a young prospect, but good thing that he's performing well, leading the team, producing. It's great to see Carcone having success there. And then you have J.S. Dia, who again is another American League prototype player, not a prospect. 13 points in 14 games. Of course, Dauphin, just like the other two, another pure American Hockey League player. These are not prospects. 12 points in 13 games played. So that's leading our team. They're not Coyotes prospects. They're not players who we're going to look forward to in the future. They're just acquisitions made by the organization to beef up the Roadrunners, to make them competitive, maybe go for that division title, compete in the playoffs. And that's exactly what these players are doing. These three players are doing. Next, we go to somewhat of a prospect. Kellerman was signed in the summer by Bill Armstrong, signed overseas as a free agent. I really liked him in the prospect development camp. He's got 11 points in 14 games, plays a gritty type style, goes hard to the net, really feisty and gritty. I was surprised he didn't make the roster out of camp, but, Cassian, I guess, needs a role. O'Brien needs to be dressed every night for some reason. But if there's injuries to O'Brien or Cassian, I know there's already an injury to Cassian, but if their gritty guys get injured on the Coyotes, I could totally see a guy like Kellerman being brought up. He plays that fourth line role so well. I could even put the puck in the net. First year on North American ice, so hopefully he just gets better. Cracknell, I believe his name's Adam Cracknell. Again, another non-prospect, just AHL type player with 7 points in 14 games. And then we get to the prospects who are at the bottom of the point leaders for the forward position. McCartney, Smith, and Yannick, all with 7 points, all with over 10 games played. I would love to see these guys put up way more points, produce more, lead this team, but maybe it's too much to ask. It's not the end of the world that these prospects aren't reaching those heights in the American Hockey League. I mean, these aren't the Coyotes' important prospects. This isn't a do or die. If these prospects don't work out, we're doomed. I mean, Yannick is a leftover prospect from the Chaika regime. Smith was acquired for a 4th round pick at the last trade deadline. And McCartney is a 7th round pick from 2 years ago. I love McCartney. Would love to see him get a shot on the Coyotes again. We'll have to see him produce more with the Roadrunners, have more of an impact. But, it's not just there yet. Maybe it's too high expectations for a 7th rounder. But, the sky isn't falling that these 3 prospects aren't really producing at a level I hope and we hope they should be performing at. And then the defensive side of things, yeah, Soderstrom, it's rough. 6 points in 15 games. Now, I don't know if he's like a leader on the team, performing well defensively. It's hard to watch these games. It's hard to find any information on how players are doing in the American Hockey League. You can just go based off points. But hopefully the coaching staff isn't disappointing in him. Hopefully he's doing the smaller details effectively. I know his goal scoring and points totals aren't exactly jumping off the page, but hopefully he's doing some good things down there. I expect him to not get called up at all this season. Just spend the whole season in the American Hockey League, get this team to the playoffs, compete well in the playoffs, maybe just get some experience in playing hockey that matters. And then, the rest of the defensive leaders on this team, it shows that our defensive pipeline is pretty weak outside of the Coyotes. It's Dineen with 6 points in 10 games, Knott with 5 points in 14, and a surprising 1 point for Kolyachonok in 14 games, considering Kolyachonok played a lot of NHL games last season for the Coyotes and got some points with the Coyotes, but this year, with the heavy competition on the Coyotes' blue line, not saying it's a good blue line, but they're NHL bodies, and Kolyachonok's not there to be a consistent NHL body just yet. Pretty interesting to see. He only has 1 point in 14 games. Also on defense was Connor Timmins, who was on that 2-week conditioning stint. He got 3 points in 6 games played. So he managed to get 6 games in with the Roadrunners, only accumulating 3 assists. Like I said, Prosvetov, his best stretch of games. And that's pretty much it. I said all I needed to say. From here on out, I'm sure I'll do another video in a couple months to see where they're at closer to the playoffs. Hopefully they're still in the hunt in the playoffs. Hopefully we see McCartney, Smith, and Yannick up there in point totals. It's disappointing to hear about Liam Kirk. And hopefully Prosvetov continues his stellar play. He really needs to get some confidence and make a print on the Coyotes organization. I believe this is his last year with the Coyotes. He just signed a 1-year deal. So he keeps these numbers up. Maybe we get him on a long-term cheap deal and see if he could work out as a Coyotes backup. That was the goal this season, was to have him in Tucson, be a starter, rack up some good games and some good statistics, and hopefully he's ready for the NHL. So that's it for me. It's good. It's my expectation the Roadrunners make the playoffs. They're doing just that. Get a couple more wins. Maybe limit these blowout losses, and we'll have a good time. So that's it for me. Thanks for watching. If you like what you see, spread the word. And as always, thank you for your support.